They say the church is a place people run to when life becomes too heavy. That was why she came. Because life had become heavy in a way she could no longer explain politely. Her name was Sola, and before trouble entered her life properly, she used to believe that if you worked hard, stayed quiet, and did not offend people, things would somehow balance out. Lagos teaches you that lie early. It teaches you to believe endurance is the same thing as progress. It teaches you to keep going even when going is costing you pieces of yourself. The suffering did not start loudly. It started with tiredness that sleep could not fix. Sola would wake up already exhausted, her body aching as if she had run a long distance in her dreams. She would sit on the edge of her bed, staring at the floor, counting how many hours she had slept and still feeling cheated. Some mornings, she would forget what day it was. Some mornings, she would forget why she was standing up at all. Then the money problems began to show their teeth. Her salary started coming late. First 1 week, then 2, then not at all. When she asked questions, they told her to be patient. When she pushed, they reminded her that many people were looking for jobs. She swallowed her words and nodded, because hunger makes you humble in ways prayer never taught. Bills waited for no one. Her landlord started harassing her. He started knocking instead. Loud, impatient knocks that made her chest tighten even when she was in the bathroom. Once, he stood outside her door and said her name slowly, as if tasting it. Sola sat on the floor, her back against the wall, holding her breath until he left. She cried that night without sound, biting her hands so the neighbors would not hear her shame. Then her mother fell sick. At first, it was small complaints. Headaches, weakness, dizziness. Things her mother laughed off. But sickness does not care about laughter. Hospital visits turned into hospital stays. Prescriptions turned into debts. Sola learned how to read test results she did not understand, how to beg nurses politely, how to smile while fear chewed her from the inside. There were nights she slept on a plastic chair beside her mother's bed, her neck bent at an angle that left her in pain for days. She watched machines blink and beep, counting seconds she could not control. She prayed prayers that did not sound like prayers anymore. They sounded like bargains, like pleading, like desperation. People promised to help. Some sent small money once and never answered again. Some said sorry and disappeared. Some advised fasting as if hunger was not already eating her alive. Friends stopped calling. Not because they were wicked, but because pain makes people uncomfortable. Everyone was fighting their own battles, and Sola's own had become too heavy to share casually. She learned to say "I'm fine" quickly, before anyone could ask further questions. At night, her thoughts became cruel. She replayed her life, wondering where she had gone wrong. She blamed herself for trusting the wrong people, for staying too long in the wrong places, for believing things would improve if she just endured a little more. Some nights, she lay awake until morning, staring into darkness that felt thick enough to touch. There were frightening moments, when the thought of ending it all crossed her mind, that maybe eternal rest was better than struggle. That maybe disappearing would be easier than continuing. She never planned anything, but the thought alone scared her. It made her realize how far gone she was. That was when her aunt mentioned the church. Not as a miracle place, not as magic, but as somewhere that helps people quietly. The kind of help that does not announce itself. The kind that steps in when you can no longer stand. Sola held on to that idea like a rope. She did not go to church because she was holy. She did not go because she wanted attention. She went because she was drowning slowly, and nobody was noticing. When she finally walked into the church, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. Order. People seemed calm, composed, like their lives were not constantly on fire. It made her feel small and hopeful at the same time. She spoke softly when asked what brought her there, her voice shaking despite her efforts to control it. She left out the worst parts. The thoughts. The nights on the floor. The fear. She just said she needed help. And they told her she had come to the right place. Those words landed deeply. They did not rush her. They did not shout. They did not judge. They spoke gently, carefully, the way people do when they want you to trust them. They told her there was a process. They told her she needed patience. They told her God was involved. Sola believed them. Because when you have lost everything else, belief is not a choice. It is survival. She went home that day feeling lighter, even though nothing had changed yet. She told herself help was coming. She told herself suffering has an end. She told herself she was finally seen. What she did not understand was that being seen does not always mean being saved. Sometimes, it means something else entirely. Something that notices how broken you are. Something that waits. Sola noticed the fear slowly. Not as panic, but as a tightening inside her chest that had no name. The first thing she realized was that time behaved differently inside that church. Outside, Lagos moved fast. Buses shouted. Hawkers argued. Life rushed past whether you were ready or not. Inside the church compound, everything slowed down unnaturally. People walked softly. Voices dropped automatically. Phones were silenced without being told. Even laughter sounded careful, like it was asking permission to exist. The compound itself was always clean. Too clean. Floors wiped until they reflected faces. Walls freshly painted, without a single crack. Nothing looked neglected. Nothing looked accidental. Sola had grown up in Lagos. She knew when effort crossed into control. This place did not allow things to happen by chance. Her meetings were never in the open. Never where people could pass freely. Never where voices could carry. She was always led through corridors that smelled faintly of disinfectant and air freshener, past offices with doors half closed, past people who looked up briefly and then looked away too quickly. She noticed that nobody ever asked her name directly. They already knew it. It unsettled her more than if they had asked. Sometimes she would be told to wait. Not in the main hall. Not where others waited. She would be guided to a smaller room. A room with no windows. Plastic chairs arranged neatly against the wall. A single light bulb humming faintly above her head. She would sit there alone, listening to the sound of her own breathing, feeling like time had been paused deliberately. At first, she told herself this was organization. Privacy. Order. But there was a way the door closed behind her that did not feel ordinary. Not slammed. Not locked. Just, final. As if something had been sealed. When someone finally entered, it was never hurried. Always calm. Always composed. Voices were low, controlled, polite. They spoke like people who were used to being obeyed without raising their voices. They asked questions again. Questions she had already answered before. Questions about her family. Her home. Her movements. Who she spoke to. Who knew she was coming here. The questions were not aggressive. That was what made them dangerous. They smiled while asking. They nodded as she spoke. They wrote things down carefully. Sola felt herself shrinking without understanding why. She answered because silence felt risky. She answered because she did not want to appear uncooperative. Somewhere inside her, a quiet alarm rang, but it rang gently, politely, like the voices around her. One afternoon, she overheard something she was not meant to hear. She was being led down the corridor when two voices drifted through a half-closed door. They stopped talking the moment they noticed her. Not abruptly. Smoothly. Too smoothly. The kind of silence that tells you a conversation has been swallowed, not ended. No one explained. No one apologized. The person leading her simply continued walking, as if nothing had happened. Sola followed, her heart beating faster than her steps. For the first time, she felt like she was inside something she did not understand. From that day, the fear stopped whispering. It began to speak. She noticed how people like her were treated differently. Those who came seeking help were separated quietly from the rest. Given instructions others did not hear. Told to wait longer. Directed to different rooms. Watched more closely. People who came with confidence were greeted openly. People who came broken were handled privately. Sola realized something then, something she had not wanted to admit. This church did not heal weakness. It studied it. She started feeling watched even when no one was near her. Eyes that lifted when she moved. Conversations that paused when she approached. Smiles that appeared too quickly, as if rehearsed. Sometimes, when she spoke, she noticed glances exchanged over her head, subtle but intentional. Her body reacted before her mind caught up. Her stomach knotted when she entered the compound. Her palms sweated during meetings. Her throat tightened when doors closed. Once, during a session, she tried to ask a direct question. "When will things change?" she asked softly. "When will the help start?" The room fell quiet. Not awkward quiet. Controlled quiet. The man across from her did not answer immediately. He looked at her for a long moment, his face calm, unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was gentle, almost kind. "You must be careful with impatience," he said. "It can block blessings." Sola nodded immediately, her heart racing. Shame washed over her, sharp and sudden. She apologized without fully understanding why. As she left the room, she realized she had been made to feel like the problem for asking a question. That night, she did not sleep. Images replayed in her mind. Doors closing. Eyes watching. Voices lowering. She thought of stories she had heard growing up. Stories people told in hushed tones about churches where help came with conditions. Where power was hidden behind prayer. Where people disappeared quietly, socially, emotionally, sometimes completely. She told herself she was overthinking. But fear, once recognized, does not disappear easily. During her next visit, something happened that shifted everything. She arrived earlier than usual. The compound was quieter. Too quiet. As she walked toward the waiting area, she noticed a door slightly open down the corridor. Inside, she saw a woman she recognized. Another one who had been waiting like her. Another one who had been patient. The woman's shoulders were shaking. Not with prayer. With crying. A voice spoke to her from inside the room. Sola could not hear the words, but she saw the woman nodding repeatedly, wiping her face, shrinking inward. The door closed gently after that. No one acknowledged what Sola had seen. No one asked why she had stopped walking. The message was clear. See, but do not speak. From then on, Sola stopped feeling like she was waiting for help. She felt like she was being processed. Each visit stripped something from her. Confidence. Certainty. Voice. She began to second-guess her instincts. To apologize too quickly. To obey instructions without asking why. Fear had settled into her bones, heavy and familiar. Still, she stayed. Because leaving felt dangerous too. What if she misunderstood everything? What if help was just one step away? What if questioning it all ruined her chances? The church knew this. It thrived on this. Sola did not know who to trust anymore. Not outside. Not inside. Her suffering had led her here, but now something darker was growing around her, feeding on her silence, her desperation, her obedience. One evening, as she prepared to leave, someone touched her arm lightly. "Don't rush," the voice said. She froze. The compound was almost empty. The sun was setting. Shadows stretched long across the tiled floor. The hand withdrew immediately, as if nothing had happened. The smile that followed was calm. Familiar. But Sola's heart did not slow down. She nodded and stayed. And as she sat there, waiting once again, she finally understood the truth she had been avoiding. This place did not feel holy. It felt hungry. Fear stopped feeling like a warning. It became the air. Sola did not remember the exact day it happened. Fear does not announce itself with dates. It slips in quietly and then refuses to leave. One moment she was walking into the church compound as she had done many times before, and the next moment her body already knew something her mind was still trying to deny. Her steps slowed automatically. Her breathing changed. Her shoulders tightened as if preparing for a blow that had not yet come. The compound felt sealed that evening. Not closed. Sealed. The gate shut behind her with a soft metallic sound that echoed longer than it should have. No one spoke. No one greeted her. People moved past her without meeting her eyes, their faces set in expressions that looked empty rather than calm. The air felt thick, heavy, as though it resisted movement. Sola swallowed hard and reminded herself that fear could be imagined. That desperation could distort reality. But even as she tried to reassure herself, her palms were already damp with sweat. She was led again through the familiar corridor, but this time the light seemed dimmer. Or maybe her eyes were struggling. Doors lined the walls on both sides, all of them closed. The silence was so complete it felt deliberate, enforced. Every footstep sounded too loud. She became painfully aware of her own presence, as if she had walked into a place where she was not meant to exist as a person, only as a subject. The room they brought her into was different. Smaller. Darker. Colder. The bulb overhead flickered once before settling into a dull glow. The air smelled stale, like something had been kept there too long. No windows. No decorations. Just a table, 2 chairs, and walls that seemed to lean inward slightly. When the door closed, It did not sound final. It sounded deliberate, as if someone had waited for the right moment to shut it. She sat today. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest. She tried to slow it down. She told herself to breathe normally. She told herself this was just another meeting. But her body refused to listen. Every instinct she had ever learned in Lagos was screaming at her to be alert, to be careful, to say as little as possible. The man who entered did not greet her. He did not smile. He sat opposite her and folded his hands calmly on the table, watching her the way people watch something they already own. His voice, when he spoke, was low and steady, without emotion. "You have been coming here for some time," he said. It was not a question. Sola nodded. "You have been patient," he continued. "That is good." She nodded again, even though something about the word good felt wrong. Heavy. Loaded. "You have also been struggling," he said. "More than you let on." Her throat tightened. She had not told him everything. She was sure of that. And yet, the way he spoke made it sound like he knew. Not guessed. Knew. He leaned forward slightly. "There are things you have not said," he continued. "Thoughts you have not shared. Doubts." Sola's hands trembled in her lap. She pressed them together tightly, trying to stop it. "Fear," he said softly. Her breath caught. The silence that followed was suffocating. It pressed against her ears, her chest, her thoughts. She felt exposed in a way she could not explain, like someone had opened her up and was calmly looking inside. "You came here because you needed help," he said. "But help requires honesty." Something in his tone shifted. It was still calm, but the calmness felt sharpened now, like a blade hidden inside cloth. "What are you afraid of?" he asked. Sola opened her mouth, then closed it again. The room felt smaller. The walls closer. Her thoughts tangled together, refusing to form sentences. Fear crawled up her spine, slow and deliberate. She began, then stopped. The man watched her without blinking. "Silence," he said, "can be dangerous." The words settled heavily between them. She felt trapped. If she spoke, she did not know what would happen. If she stayed silent, that too felt risky. The power in the room was no longer subtle. It was present. Watching. Waiting. "I'm just tired," she whispered finally. The man smiled then. Not warmly. Not kindly. The smile did not reach his eyes. "Tired people," he said, "are easy to mislead." Fear surged through her, hot and sudden. Her pulse raced. Her mind screamed at her to stand up, to leave, to run. But her body remained frozen, as if obeying an invisible command. "You must understand something," he continued calmly. "This place does not work the way you think it does." She stared at him, unable to speak. "We see many people like you," he said. "People who come broken. People who come desperate. People who are willing to do anything to be helped." His gaze never left hers. "Willingness," he said, "is powerful." The word echoed in her mind. Willingness. She felt suddenly small. Reduced. Measured. He stood up slowly and walked around the table. Each step felt loud in the small room. He stopped behind her chair. She could feel his presence without seeing him, close enough to feel the heat from his body. "You feel it, don't you?" he asked quietly. "The fear." Her breath came in shallow gasps. She nodded without realizing it. "That fear," he continued, "means you are ready." Her stomach twisted violently. A wave of nausea washed over her. Ready for what? The question burned in her mind, but she did not ask it. Something told her not to. He placed a hand lightly on the back of her chair. "Do you know why people come to places like this?" he asked. "Because they believe holiness means safety." His voice dropped lower. "But power," he said, "is what really lives here." The room felt darker, though the light had not changed. Sola's ears rang. Her vision blurred at the edges. Every instinct she had was screaming danger now. Not imagined. Not whispered. Real. He moved back in front of her and leaned on the table. "You have been watched," he said. "Observed. Assessed." Her heart pounded violently. "You are not here by accident," he continued. "And you are not free to leave whenever you like." The words landed like a blow. "What do you mean?" she whispered. His eyes hardened slightly. "You came here for help," he said. and help has rules. Fear flooded her completely now, thick and suffocating. She felt like prey that had finally realized it was inside a trap. Her thoughts raced, looking for escape, for logic, for anything that could make this make sense. "This is a church," she said weakly. "You can't." He cut her off with a small, sharp sound. "Church," he said quietly, "is a word people use when they want to feel safe." He straightened up. "But what happens inside these walls," he said, "is something else." The door behind her creaked softly. Sola turned her head sharply. Another figure stood there, silent, watching. Then another appeared in the doorway. No one spoke. No one moved closer. They did not need to. Their presence alone filled the room, thick with menace, with certainty. Sola's body began to shake uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her face, but she made no sound. Crying felt useless here. Begging felt dangerous. The man returned to his seat calmly. "You have two choices," he said. "You can cooperate, or you can resist." Her chest burned. Her lungs struggled for air. "And resistance," he added softly, "is very tiring." Sola realized then that the suffering that brought her here had only been preparation. That everything before this moment had been a slow stripping away of strength, of support, of voice. She had been softened deliberately, like clay before shaping. The church was no longer a place of waiting. It was a place of taking. And whatever lived here was no longer hiding. It was ready. By the time Sola realized something had shifted permanently, it was already too late to pretend she could walk out and return to her old life. The fear had changed shape. It was no longer sharp and sudden. It had become slow, heavy, settled. She noticed it first in her body. Her legs felt weak whenever she approached the church compound, as if they remembered something her mind was trying to forget. Her stomach twisted before she reached the gate. Sometimes she would stop across the road and stare at the building, telling herself she could still turn back. Each time, her feet carried her forward anyway. The gate no longer felt like an entrance. It felt like a mouth. Inside, things began to happen that she could not explain away with reason. Not all at once. Evil rarely announces itself fully. It tests first. Measures how much you can accept before you resist. One evening, she was told to attend a special session. The word special made her chest tighten. It was not written anywhere. Not announced publicly. She was told quietly, in passing, as if it were a favor. She was instructed to come alone. No phone. No bag. Distractions interfere with the process, they said. Sola did not sleep that night. Her room felt different. The darkness thicker. Sounds sharper. Every small noise made her flinch. She kept seeing the same images in her mind. Doors closing, eyes watching, smiles without warmth. She prayed, but the words felt thin, like they were dissolving before reaching anywhere. In the morning, she obeyed. The compound was almost empty when she arrived. Too early for normal activities. The sky hung low and gray. The air felt damp, heavy with something she could not name. She noticed that even the usual security men were absent. No greetings. No casual movement. Just silence. She was led to a part of the building she had never been to before. Down a narrow hallway. Past locked doors. Deeper inside. The room they brought her into was larger than the others, but darker. Thick curtains covered the walls. Candles burned low in different corners, their flames steady in a way that felt unnatural. The smell hit her immediately, a mixture of incense, oil, and something bitter underneath. Something old. Several people were already inside. They stood spaced apart, heads bowed, faces expressionless. Some she recognized. Others she did not. All of them looked drained. Hollow. Like people who had cried too much and slept too little. No one spoke. No one looked at anyone else. When the door closed behind her, the sound echoed heavily. Sola's heart began to race. A voice started praying. It was not loud. It was not passionate. It was calm. Measured. Controlled. The words sounded familiar at first. Scriptures she had heard before. Phrases she recognized. But slowly, the tone changed. The rhythm shifted. The pauses became longer. The prayers stopped sounding like requests and started sounding like declarations. Not asking. Commanding. Sola felt her skin prickle. The air in the room seemed to press down on her shoulders. The candles flickered all at once, then settled again. No one reacted. It was as if they were used to it. The voice began to call out things. Names, details, secrets. Things people had not said aloud. A woman beside Sola began to shake quietly, tears running down her face. A man across the room dropped to his knees without being told. Sola's breath came fast and shallow. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Then the voice paused. The silence that followed was not empty. It felt watched. Sola, the voice said. Her knees almost gave way. She did not answer. Sola, the voice repeated, calmly. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her throat felt locked. Frozen. Someone behind her placed a hand on her back, firm and unmoving, guiding her forward. She stumbled, her legs barely supporting her. Do not be afraid, the voice said. The words did not comfort her. They frightened her more. She was made to stand in the center of the room. The candles cast long shadows that twisted along the walls, stretching her shape into something unfamiliar. She felt exposed, stripped, seen in a way that had nothing to do with her body. You came here for help, the voice said. And help has a cost. The words echoed inside her head. Cost. She felt something break inside her then. Not loudly. Quietly. The last piece of belief she had been clinging to. The prayer resumed, but it no longer sounded like prayer. The language shifted. The tone deepened. The air grew heavier, thicker, as if it had weight. Sola felt dizzy. The room spun slightly. Her ears rang. She tried to focus on the floor, but even the ground beneath her feet felt unsteady. Someone began chanting softly. Another voice joined. Then another. The sound built slowly, surrounding her, wrapping around her chest, her head, her thoughts. It felt invasive, like hands reaching inside her mind. She tried to pray silently, but the words tangled and fell apart. Fear flooded her completely now, raw and suffocating. She felt something else then. A pull. Not physical. Internal. As if something was tugging at her will, testing how much resistance she had left. Her limbs felt heavy. Her thoughts slowed. The room seemed to move farther away, even though she had not moved at all. She realized with horror that she was being made compliant. Not forced. Not attacked. Worn down. She remembered stories then. Stories whispered by neighbors. Stories dismissed as exaggeration. Stories about churches that were not churches. About people who entered seeking help and left changed, emptied, obedient in ways that frightened their families. Sola wanted to scream. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The chanting stopped suddenly. The silence that followed was deafening. The voice spoke again, closer this time. You are ready, it said. Hands gripped her arms firmly. Not roughly. Precisely. She was turned slightly, positioned like an object being arranged. Fear shot through her body in violent waves. Her vision blurred. Tears streamed down her face, but no one reacted. This is not evil, the voice said calmly. This is order. Order. The word made her stomach twist. You have been disordered by suffering, the voice continued. We are correcting that. Sola realized then that whatever this was, it did not see her pain as something to heal. It saw it as something to use. Something shifted inside her chest. A quiet, desperate determination rose through the fear. Survival instinct. She fought against the heaviness pressing down on her, against the pull inside her mind. It took everything she had left. No, she whispered. The word was weak, but it was real. The room reacted instantly. The candles flared suddenly, their flames rising higher. The air grew colder. The grip on her arms tightened. The chanting resumed, louder now, harsher. Anger crept into the calm voices for the first time. Fear exploded inside her. She cried out then. A raw, broken sound torn from deep inside her chest. The sound echoed strangely, as if the room swallowed part of it. The voice grew sharp. Stop resisting, it said. Sola's body shook violently. She felt herself slipping, her strength draining rapidly. Panic clawed at her. She thought of her mother, of her small room, of the life she had known before all this. She clung to those images desperately, like anchors. And then, suddenly, everything stopped. The chanting ceased. The candles dimmed. The pressure lifted just enough for her to breathe. The voice was calm again. "Enough," it said. Hands released her. Sola collapsed to the floor, gasping for air, her body trembling uncontrollably. No one helped her up. No one spoke to her. She lay there, weak and shaking, as people stepped back into place as if nothing had happened. "You will return," the voice said. "And next time, it will be easier." The words sank into her like poison. When she was finally allowed to leave, the sun had already begun to set. The compound looked normal again. Quiet. Clean. Ordinary. The gate opened smoothly, as if it had never closed on her at all. Outside, Lagos noise rushed back in. Cars. Voices. Life. Sola stood there for a long moment, shaking, staring at the road. The world looked unreal. Distant. As if she had crossed a line she could never fully step back over. She walked home slowly, her legs heavy, her mind numb. That night, she did not sleep. When she closed her eyes, she saw candles. Shadows. Heard chanting. Felt the pull again, faint but present, like something reaching for her from far away. She understood then that the church had not finished with her. And worse still, part of it had already stayed inside her. Sola did not return to the church the next day, or the day after. She stayed indoors, curtains drawn, phone switched off, listening to the sounds of Lagos move around her while she remained still. Her body ached in unfamiliar ways. Not pain exactly, more like after effects. Like something had passed through her and left residue behind. Her limbs felt heavy, her thoughts slow, as if she were waking from a long, terrible dream she could not fully remember. But some things stayed clear. The candles. The chanting. The way the word order had been spoken. Those memories did not fade. They settled. At night, sleep came in fragments. She would drift off briefly, only to jolt awake with her heart racing, convinced someone was standing beside her bed. Once, she woke up whispering words she did not recognize. Another time, she woke with tears on her face and no memory of crying. Her room felt smaller now. The air felt watched. She tried to pray. The words came out wrong. Sometimes she would start with familiar prayers and lose her place halfway through. Sometimes her mind would go blank, leaving her staring at the wall, mouth open, heart pounding. She felt disconnected from herself, like she was observing her own fear from a distance. Her mother called. Sola almost did not answer. When she finally picked up, her mother's voice sounded thin, worried. She asked where Sola had been. Why she hadn't come by. Why she sounded strange. Sola tried to explain, but the words refused to line up properly. She said she was tired. She said she needed rest. She avoided details. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. "Be careful where you look for help," she said finally, her voice low. "Some doors don't close properly once you open them." The words sent a cold shiver down Sola's spine. That night, the dreams changed. She dreamed she was back in the room with the candles, but this time she was not alone. The others stood around her, faces blank, eyes dark. The chanting filled the air, but it was coming from her own mouth. She tried to stop, tried to scream, but her voice continued without her permission. When she woke, her pillow was wet with sweat, her chest burning. On the third day, someone knocked on her door. Softly, politely. Her heart stopped. She froze where she sat, barely breathing. The knock came again, gentle and patient. Whoever it was did not sound rushed. That frightened her more than anger would have. "Sola," a voice called quietly. Her name. Not shouted. Not forced. Known. She did not answer. The knocking stopped. She waited, counting her breaths, listening for footsteps. Silence stretched on. Just when she thought they had gone, the voice spoke again. "You don't need to be afraid," it said calmly. "We are concerned about you." Her stomach twisted. "We noticed you didn't come back," the voice continued. "We only want to make sure you are well." Sola slid down against the wall slowly, her body shaking. Tears spilled down her face, but she pressed a hand over her mouth to keep from making a sound. After a while, footsteps moved away. She did not stand up for a long time. That visit changed something inside her. Fear hardened into resolve. Whatever had happened in that church was not something she could survive by pretending it did not exist. She needed distance. She needed light. She needed help that did not come wrapped in obedience and silence. The next morning, she packed a small bag and went to her mother's house without calling ahead. Her mother took one look at her and knew something was wrong. Sola looked thinner. Her eyes were hollow. Her hands trembled when she tried to greet properly. She sat down and began to cry, the sound tearing out of her like it had been waiting for permission. She told her mother everything. Not in order. Not neatly. She spoke in fragments. Fearful pauses. Broken sentences. She talked about the church. The waiting. The rooms. The chanting. The feeling of being taken apart. Her mother listened without interrupting, her face growing more serious with every word. When Sola finished, the room was quiet. Her mother stood up slowly and went into her room. When she returned, she carried a small Bible that looked old and worn. She sat beside Sola and placed a hand firmly on her back. "This is not new," her mother said quietly. "People just don't like to talk about it." She told Sola stories then. Stories she had heard growing up. Stories about places that wore holiness like clothing. Stories about people who entered broken and came out obedient, fearful, changed. Stories about how power, when mixed with faith, could become something dangerous. "They feed on silence," her mother said, "and on desperation." Together, they prayed. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, steadily, grounded. The prayers felt different. Solid. Like something real was happening this time. Sola cried again, deep sobs that left her exhausted but lighter. For the first time since the church, she slept through the night. The days that followed were slow. Recovery was not dramatic. There were no instant miracles. But the hold began to loosen. The dreams faded gradually. The whispers stopped. Her body began to feel like her own again. Strength returned in small pieces. She never went back to that church. She avoided the area entirely. When she passed near it once by accident, her chest tightened, but she kept walking. She did not look back. Weeks later, she heard stories. Quiet stories. Another woman had stopped attending suddenly. A man had moved away without explanation. People whispered, then fell silent. No one confronted the church openly. Lagos is a city that knows how to survive by minding its business. Sola understood then that her escape had been narrow. She had not been chosen because she was special. She had been chosen because she was weak at the right time. Because suffering had made her compliant. Because she had believed help should come with silence. The lesson stayed with her. Help that demands obedience is not help. Faith that feeds on fear is not faith. Places that thrive on silence do not heal. Life did not become easy after that. Her mother's health improved slowly. Money remained tight. Problems did not disappear. But Sola faced them differently now. She trusted her instincts again. She asked questions. She walked away when something felt wrong. Sometimes, late at night, she still remembered the room with the candles. The chanting. The voice that had said she was ready. She knew now what it meant. Sola never told this story loudly. Not because it didn't happen, but because some truths survive better in whispers. She learned to listen carefully after that. To silence. To delays. To places where help comes with rules. Sometimes, when she walks past a church late in the evening, and the gates are still open, and the lights are still on, she feels that tightening in her chest again. Not fear. Recognition. Because she knows now that not every place that calls itself holy is safe. And not every prayer is meant to save. There are churches that heal. And there are churches that watch. There are doors you knock on for help, and doors that remember your name after you leave. Sola escaped because she spoke. Because she went home. Because she did not stay quiet long enough to disappear. But she knows this too. Some people never walk out. Some people obey. Some people return. And some people are still waiting, inside rooms with no windows, under calm voices that never raise themselves. So if life ever becomes heavy, and you are promised help behind closed doors, listen carefully. Because evil does not always shout. Sometimes, it prays.